I'm with Nitsana Darshan from Shurat Hadin, an organization defending Israel and the Jewish people. And today we're talking about life-saving survival courses. Now, Nitsana, tell us about these courses.
Well, Paul, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. Shurat Hadin is involved with defending Israel from acts of terrorism or fighting terrorism after they happen. This time we decided to help residents of the Bethlehem area to face terror attacks when they happen. And we took professional experts, guides, to teach the residents how to behave in case they reach terror attack, or in case there are stones that Palestinians throwing on their cars, or in case they have a cocktail Molotov bottle thrown on their car, or God forbid, even shooting. And during this training, everybody participant bring his own car, and they just learn what to do, how to be conscious, how to be very careful, what to think, what should be the first response when something happens, how to take care of the kids that are sitting in the back seat or the a passenger next to you, how to cut the belt if the car goes on fire, and incidents like this. And also teaching them that they can really maneuver through stones, even line of fires that hits and lights their road. And by driving through fire in the course, in the training, they understand that nothing will happen to the car. Or they can go through roadblocks and nothing will happen to the car. And this gives a lot of confidence for the residents, mainly women, that were afraid to leave the house because of this escalating terrorism on the roads in Judea and Samaria. And now they feel more comfortable, more confident to drive and to take their little children with them.
How likely are Israelis to encounter a terror attack like this?
Every single day. Every single day, Palestinians throwing rocks, cocktail Molotov bottles, and they are shooting over drivers in Judea and Samaria. In every area, in every region, every single day.
Now you think it's just rocks thrown at a car, but that can kill somebody, can't it?
Of course, because you lost your control, and that's it. It doesn't take more than a minute. If something track your concentration, you lose it. Look, what really brought us to start with this, we represent David Stern. David Stern is a former Marines guy, very built up, very strong, very well trained. And he got shot by terrorists while he was driving in Hawara, near Itamar, near his house. But he didn't lose any control. He pulled up his gun and started shooting through the windshield towards the terrorist that shot at him. He killed the terrorist. He himself got badly injured, but he took care of himself. He even puts, this thing on your arm. And was able to save himself. At the same time, or shortly before, the wife and the daughters of Rabbi Lee were driving their car in the Jordan Valley, and they also got shot by Hamas terrorists, but they lost control over the car and they bumped into a tree. And then the terrorists came from zero distance and verified their death. So you see that the human element has a lot to do in a terror attack when you really get shot. And therefore, we decided that if there is something to contribute here, perhaps we can train the human side what to do and perhaps to save themselves from this disaster. So in the D family incident, it was loss of control over the car that happened in a moment. And that can happen with rocks getting thrown at your car, or the Molotov thrown at your car.
That's just really retraining and reprogramming yourself how to act when something like this does happen, isn't it?
Yes, it's not easy, but if you feel it, you know what to do next time. And obviously, we don't go through shooting. So we have tennis balls thrown on your car, illustrating rocks. We have people standing with shotguns, with paint guns, shooting over your car. But it makes the same noise and it gives the same feeling. So all you need to do is to tell yourself that you can really go through this incident without getting hurt. And once you do it, you can know that it may serve you in the future.
This must be really frightening, particularly if you're a mother and you picked up your children and you're driving home and something like this instance happens. It must be really, really frightening.
It is. It is. We were told that after October 7th, women did not leave the community. All the men were recruited to reserves. All the men left to the battlefield in Gaza, in Lebanon, and women were left alone in Judea and Samaria settlements by themselves with their kids, and they were frightened to leave the community, to drive on the roads.
Wow, wow. Have Israelis witnessed somebody just get out of a car and start shooting at other cars?
Yes, yes, that's the dangers, of course.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Not everybody is a Marine soldier, and know what to do or how to pull a trigger and how to shoot over the terrorists. So most people, what you want to do really is to run away, is to get out of this scene. And this is what we teach them.
Yeah. Do you have people on the course who've actually witnessed a terror attack and they want to know how to prepare themselves more?
Yes, a lot of the residents experience a terror attack themselves.
It must be very, very frightening.
It is.
What sort of people are you getting coming on this course?
We have mainly women, but not only. We have the first respondents from the different settlements. We have youth, we have men. Sometimes it's combined, and every course is 25 person at a time. So sometimes we go back to the settlement 2, 3, 4 times where all the residents can take part of it.
Have you had people actually come back to you later on? They've been on the course,
yes.
And they've come back and they've told you, this saved my life.
Yes, of course. People send us notices to call, and they said, I just got off a rock throwing at me, and I kept going. I didn't stop. I didn't hesitate. I didn't slow. I just kept going. Somebody told me that she reached a point where there was fire on the road from probably a Molotov cocktail, and she just drove through. She said, I remember that nothing happens to the car. She just drove through, and indeed she escaped and she was saved. Yes.
So this really is saving people's lives today.
Yes, 100%. Unfortunately, this is the reality where we live, and this is what we do in order to survive.
Have you seen more terrorist attacks since October the 7th on the roads, things like this?
Yes, it increased significantly because, the Hamas massacre on the Gaza envelope settlement showed that the Palestinians, that they can also do it in their home. So they came, masses of them, and started throwing rocks and really terrorizing the roads. So the IDF found himself not only fighting in Gaza, not only fighting in Lebanon, but fighting in Judea and Samaria itself. And the IDF had to take very stiff, hardcore operations in order to calm down the terrorism that just exponentially rose up.
Are Israelis fearful when they go out in their car and they drive maybe to work or to school, anything like that? Is there an element of fear that they're facing, that they're having?
Fortunately, yes. People that live in Judea and Samaria are, feel a little bit insecure because you don't even have time to prepare, or you don't have time to run to a shelter. And when Hamas shoots rockets, you have 15 seconds, sometimes you have 30 seconds, even a minute and a half to run to a shelter. So there is a story in Lebanon when Hezbollah shoot missiles. But in Judea and Samaria, when people come behind your car or to the side of the road and start shooting, what do you have? No, zero. You have zero to get prepared, to get ready, and you have to respond on the spot. So this is a very scary situation, and this is why people, when they drive into the Samaria, are driving with 4 eyes on the wheel, not 2 eyes, 4 eyes. Very, very careful, very in full conscious that, God forbid, something can happen any given moment.
This must be very difficult, particularly if you had children in the car. They can be very distracting at sometimes, but if something does happen, the natural response for a mother is wanting to protect her children at the same time.
100%. And one of the components of the course is to teach the mothers what to do to the kids if something happens, like to give them the right instructions. Drop down, put your head down, don't move, stay down. And then when eventually stop the car, so how to get them first out of the car, not to, God forbid, forget them in the car. That's something that also can happen.
Who teaches these courses for them?
Professional guides, experienced professional guides with the right certificate. We only use the certified guides.
Does the world actually understand what Israel has to go through every single day with things like this? Stones throwing and the possibility of a terrorist attack anywhere. Do you think the world actually understands what Israel faces on a daily basis?
No, otherwise the world would not bash Israel for fighting for its life, for try to defend its citizens who live in their only country.
So this is something that you're doing practical for people. What sort of other things do you work and you do as Shurat Hadin?
Well, we recently got involved with the New York Times article of Nick Kristof. This is an article that claims it's actually a blood libel against IDF soldiers and prison guards in the Israeli prison that allege that Palestinian prisoners are being raped by IDF soldiers and prison guards, and even they train dogs to go and rape Palestinian prisoners. Like, it's sick, really, really sick, the bottom that you can reach with this article. But Kristof and the New York Times staff and editors were very careful when they published this article, meaning they mentioned no names of soldiers, of prison guards, of settlers, nobody. They mentioned no place, no name of a prison that you can identify the prison guards from. They mentioned no dates, no particular incidents, nothing that can defame a specific person or a specific unit which enabled them to bring a lawsuit, defamation.
Absolutely no evidence they're presenting there. They're just making, so some Palestinian in prison who, just like Israel's, making a claim and they're just believing it.
Right. So this is in addition. The source are no source, not reliable at all. They mentioned a report that was written by a pro-Hamas person. Obviously, they rely on UN reports, which we always seem to be very, very biased against Israel and baseless without any proof, any hardcore evidence. And in a way that you can't really bring a lawsuit against it. Also, they disguise it under an op-ed, another protection from defamation lawsuit. So what we're doing in Shurat Hadin is convincing the Israeli Ministry of Justice to bring a criminal indictment against the New York Times and Nick Kristof for this defamation article. According to the Israeli law, you can bring to justice those who defame the state of Israel with the permission and the approval of the Attorney General of the State of Israel. And this is what we did yesterday. We approached the Attorney General in order to allow the Ministry of Justice to bring this New York Times reporter and the New York Times editor to justice in Israel.
So this is something you're personally getting involved with at the moment?
Yes.
It seems crazy that someone would even accuse that training dogs to rape people. It seems absolutely crazy.
Sick.
Yeah.
It's really sick. It's like you ran out of allegations. What else you can argue against the IDF soldiers? So imaginary, unbelievable, and biological too.
So this is like a modern day blood libel, really, isn't it?
100%.
What other stories are you working with at the moment as well?
Well, we just won a judgment in the federal courts of the United States against the Palestinian Authority for $655 million.
Wow.
That was a legal proceeding we started 22 years ago,
Wow.
but we finally won. We actually won a judgment in this case in 2015, but it was vacated on appeal based on personal jurisdiction argument. And for 10 years, we fought in court and we went to Congress. And we took all legal proceedings, went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States in order to put back the personal jurisdiction and to reinstate the judgments. And ultimately, we won. The victims are going to receive $655 million from the hands of the Palestinian Authority that runs their pay-for-slave policy that compensate the terrorists who kill American citizens. And this is to teach them that it's not worth their while to support terrorism. And as a result of this case, the Palestinian Authority announced that they will not continue with their pay-for-slave policy. At least that's what they said. You and I and everybody else know that there is no chance the Palestinian Authority will not compensate the murderers of Israeli citizens, these jihadists. But at least they're not going to do it in a very comfortable way that they did so far, according to a prisoner's law that they legislated that obligates them to do so.
How do you get the money for this from the Palestinian Authority? I know that many people maybe don't know that Israel actually hands over money to the Palestinian Authority. So do they take it from Israel's money from taxes and all these sort of things? So instead of giving it to the Palestinian Authority, do they give it to the victims instead?
Right, 100%. So we passed a law in Israel recently that forces the treasury in Israel take the money that they froze from the Palestinian Authority. Usually Israel gives tax money to the Palestinian Authority on a monthly basis. This is the mechanism. According to Oslo Accords, Israel collects the tax money for the Palestinians and give it to their hands at the end of each month. Recently, in the past 3 years, the Ministry of Treasury in Israel decided that every time the Palestinian Authority will pay money to the terrorists in jail, they will take the same amount of money and freeze it from the tax money that the Palestinian Authority will not receive it, like a penalty. So the new law that we legislated says that if you have a judgment against the Palestinian Authority, you are a victim, you can collect it from these frozen assets of the Palestinian Authority. And so far, the Treasury have paid hundreds of millions of dollars to the hands of Israeli terror victims, confiscating their judgment.
Wow.
In this particular case, we are going also against the tax money, but also against other assets. The Palestinian Authority apparently have money, they have bank accounts, they have investment funds, they have portfolios, they have many assets that we are going to put our hands on and to collect these judgments on behalf of the victims.
Well, for people who'd like to know more about the work that you do and perhaps partner with the work of training people to get out of terrorist situations, what is your website address for people who'd like to know more?
Yes, so first of all, thank you for this question. Whether it's based on donations, so we would like any support possible. The website is israellawcenter.org, israellawcenter.org, or you can Google Shurat Hadin or my name, and it will pop up. And join our mailing list, become a partner to the war for the sake of the Jewish state.
And this is war, isn't it? Every day what you're doing is war. You're doing legal war, fighting against all these actions and things that are taking place.
Yes, 100%.
Well, Nitsana, thank you very much for sharing today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Paul, for having me.